All right, so today's video. Have I told you about a guy named Dino? Have I ever mentioned Dino in the previous videos? Dino was a very good friend of mine that I met when I was about 19 or 20 years old at this smaller recording studio that I used as an office. Dino was about 6'5", 250 pounds, ripped shape, had tattoos all over himself, pale-skinned white guy from Louisiana, shaved head, and I think he was in his mid or late 40s. He had an interesting past when it comes to, how many times he'd been to prison and what for. But he was the nicest guy you could meet, and a lot of people didn't bother getting to know him to get to really figure out what he was thinking or what type of guy he was. I still remember everybody thinking that Dino was this massive thug, this brute that you had to be afraid of. And I knew better, and it's not that I'm putting him down. You can always tell something about people from how they treat animals. So he had a cat, and the cat's name is Play, and it's a cat that I took, and I talked about it in the previous video, and that I gave to my dad. And I would come there sometimes really early, and I'd hear, and I go, I would think that maybe that was like tinnitus kicking in or something, and I hear, and then I would hear, and I would go into the office, because sometimes I had to go in the office to get stuff every now and then, and I'd see that he was just talking to the cat who was sitting on the shelf, and go, and every time he did that, Play the cat would run over to me and he'd go, good girl, good girl. And you'd see this 6'5", tattooed dude, scars all over his face, shaved head, all that stuff, like, with the accent, the Louisiana accent, criminal past and all that, just talking to this little cat and going, good girl, Play, good girl. So I always knew that Dino was a guy with an excellent heart. And I learned a lot from Dino. And one of the things the two things that I learned from Dino that were more important than everything else, I learned the value of being honest with myself, and I learned the value of holding other people accountable for their words and their actions. And above all, what I learned from Dino, was that it's more important that you be honest with what you're saying than it is that you not be profane or offensive with what you're saying. So to Dino, it was more offensive if you spoke out the side of your mouth. It was more offensive if you lied so that you could look good while doing something bad than it was if you simply gave your honest opinion. Dino was okay with people who disagreed with him. He was okay with people who disliked him. He was okay with people that thought that he was a piece of crap. Dino was okay with you as long as you were honest as a human being. What Dino didn't like is when people would skirt around the issue and tried to pretend that they were your friend, to pretend that they really were concerned about you and cared about you, when in reality they wanted you gone. And that's where the saying from the title comes from. And his saying was, if you're gonna be the bitch, you be the whole bitch. Ain't no room for a half bitch around here. And I used to love the way he would say it, and I would love the times at which he said it, because it was often very appropriate. So one example, let me come up with an example out of here to try to get people to understand what's being said, or what's meant by that statement. So let's say, I know some of you may have excellent, loving, kind families, so it may not apply to you. Let's say that you're in my family. Let's say that you're in a family where a lot of the people, they like to discuss what's going on with other people. They like to revel in the misfortune and misery of others. So let's say that you're at some party or some birthday and you show up with a really, really cheap, crappy, really tiny car. So you got this really, really tiny car, really cheap, crappy piece of shit, and you used to have a really nice car. And everybody's looking around and asking about it. And somebody comes up to you and says, hi, I don't mean to get in your business, because I would never want to get in your business. But I'm really concerned for your safety. That's the only reason I'm asking. So, I see you got that car, and it just seems like if you got in a crash, that it wouldn't be very safe. And I'm just kind of concerned for your safety is all. That's what we're interested in here, because in case you got in a crash, that would be terrible. So, what happened to the other car? Did you sell it? Did you lose it? Did you crash it? And the whole idea here of being the half bitch versus being the whole bitch is that the half bitch in this situation is the guy that would have walked up to, let's say, my parents and pretended to be talking to us because he's concerned about our safety, when in reality, he's simply concerned with getting information so that he could gossip and put us down as soon as we left the room. He's interested in figuring out if somebody in my family lost their job, so he had to sell the nice car and get the crappy one. He's interested in figuring out if the kid got drunk and was driving drunk and trashed the car. He's interested in figuring out, it's just whatever the story is, so that he can run back to the rest of the family and start laughing at us and putting us down behind our backs. But rather than doing that, rather than walking up to us and saying, man, you guys are that broke now? What the fuck are you doing? Or, hey, guess your kid still likes those Budweisers while he's driving home from school, right? Instead of walking up and being the whole bitch, he's walking up and being the half bitch. He's pretending that he cares about me or about my father while simultaneously only talking to us so that he could put us down. The same can be true in a work environment. Let's say you're working with somebody and that other person simply hates you. They want you gone. For whatever reason, they want you gone. They don't like that you work at the company. Rather than walking up to you and saying, you're not qualified to do this, or I don't like you because you seem arrogant and condescending, and I think that you're always putting me down around other people, I hope you're gone. Or, instead of doing that, what are you doing, cat? Blackberry? Come down here. Come here. Psst, psst. Good girl. Instead of doing that, what they'll do in every single time you're in a meeting, they'll say, listen, I agree with what Lewis is saying, but I'm really concerned for the company here. I'm concerned for what the company's janitorial staff is going to think of what he's saying. And it's not that I don't like him, it's just that I'm really concerned that the janitorial staff is going to have more work as a result of that idea. And if they quit, we're going to have to hire other people. And you guys know that our janitorial staff is already working for wages much lower than most as is, so we really should approve. See, that guy, he doesn't give a crap about the janitorial staff. He cares about, at every single meeting, shitting on my ideas so that he can get rid of me. And that would be called being the half bitch. The whole bitch would be if you come up to me and say, man, I don't like you. Here's why I don't like you. And the thing about being the whole bitch, where you can accomplish so much more than being the half bitch, is that you can actually get to a point where you solve the problem. You can get to a point where you find middle ground. You can solve it and you can become friends. You can squash it. So let's say the other person that at every single meeting comes up with a reason for why my idea is bullshit. Let's say that guy, there was one party, the day that I got hired 2 years ago, there was a party and I made a joke. And it was some kind of a self-deprecating humor. But he took it as me making fun of him. So because of that, he now hates me. Now, if he simply walked up to me and said, you're a condescending piece of shit that makes jokes about this, that, and the other, yeah, he's being a bitch. He's saying something that's not tactful. He's walking up to me and saying something in that offensive manner, or he's saying something that I may not want to hear. But because he does that, now I have the opportunity to say, hey, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm sorry that you took it that way. I was actually talking about this situation 5 years ago when I worked at this company and I got fired for doing that stupid thing. I didn't know that maybe you did the stupid thing as well. I was actually just joking about myself. And now he's sitting there going, oh, I thought you were talking about me. I'm sorry, man. And then you shake hands and you get along. And that's what Dino taught me a long time ago, is that when you are the whole bitch, you're able to squash all this crap. You may find out that somebody doesn't agree with you. You may find out that they don't like you. You may find out that they even hate you, but the reason for that hate may be based on something that doesn't have to exist. And you may be able to get around it. You may be able to coexist peacefully once you know the other person's viewpoint, you know where they're coming from. But when people talk out the side of their mouth, that's offensive. Dino always found it more offensive when somebody would talk out the side of their mouth, pretending to care about you, or pretending to care about the company, or pretending to care about this, that, or the other, when in reality, they just didn't like you, or they were just concerned for their own selfish means. He always found it so much more profane that you lie than that you curse. He was okay with cursing. He was okay with statements that lacked tact. He was okay with being as direct as possible, but he was never okay with using the perfect, politically correct, kind and cordial terms to lie to you. That's what he found profane and offensive. And Dino taught me to always make other people take responsibility for their words and their actions rather than take their bullshit and make it my problem. And that's one of the things that I learned from Dino above all else that was very, very important and that helped me with my personal growth in life when I was 19, 20 years old. Because at that time, I would get all caught up in what other people said, but I wouldn't look for what they were actually saying. If somebody said, hey, it's not that I don't like Lewis, I just don't agree with this idea because of this, that, and the other, I wouldn't address the actual issue. The actual underlying issue would be that they didn't like me for whatever reason, and they would pretend that it was because of all this other crap. But it wasn't because of all that other crap. And the reason that this is topical and the reason that this comes up now is because this is something I have to take into account with what may be going on with the channel into the future. So as I've said, there's a company that doesn't really like that I have certain stuff in some of my videos. And I was speaking with some people about this, and some of the people that I was speaking about said, the company that has problems with your stuff, they don't usually reach out in a nice and friendly fashion. So maybe you should just do what they're asking because they reached out in that nice and friendly fashion. They said that they're fans of your work, they like it, it's great, it's just there's this stuff that they don't like, so get rid of it, right? And that was a nice thing to do. So the reason this is topical is if we can apply this to the situation here. So they don't want to say outright, hey, we are going to force you to remove this. Again, this is all hypothetical. I don't know what anybody's actually thinking, but I'm just guessing here. So this is my opinion. It's not representative of what anybody else is currently saying or doing. Capiche? Okay. Now, let's say that they're thinking to themselves, what was I just talking about? Let's say that they don't like it, right? Now, they could call and say, hey, we want to be friendly. We like your stuff. We're fans of your stuff. But this stuff over here, but some of this stuff just got to go, right? Let's say they do that. Now, people who like my content, people who are fans of my content, people who enjoy what I do, my friends are not people who would say, get rid of this, right? So there are people that say, you should be nice. You should work with them because they're being nice. But they're not. That's being the half bitch. See, being the whole bitch is saying, you're doing something that we don't like. We believe what you're doing is wrong, so we are going to take down your stuff. But the problem with being the whole bitch is that a lot of the times when people are afraid to be the whole bitch, they're afraid because they feel that they will not be liked. So if that family member of mine that wanted to gossip about why my family showed up to a party in a piece of shit crappy car said, hey, we just like laughing at you for your misfortunes, so we want to gossip about you. The thing is that we don't really know the whole story. So can you give us the whole story so that we could laugh at you? They don't want to say that because that makes them look petty. That makes them look like fucksticks. But if that person comes over and says, hey, I don't want to get in your business, but I'm just concerned for you and your family's well-being because if you get into a crash with that car, I'm not really sure it's going to hold up very well. So I'm just kind of curious because maybe we want to help. Or what happened to lead you to selling the other or getting rid of the other car that you have so you can buy this piece of shit? See, that makes them look like they care. That makes them look like they're concerned. That makes the other person seem like a good person when in reality they're not. They're a piece of shit gossiper. That's what this is about. So if they come to me all friendly, oh, we're not filing any injunction. Oh, we're not filing a claim. Oh, we're not taking you to court. We're just being friendly. We like your stuff. It's great, blah, blah, blah. But we want you to take it down. Now what they're doing is they're trying to get what they want without any of the... Fuck, why don't I turn the sound off? They're trying to get what they want without any of the negative consequences of actually showing their true colors, showing their true intentions. And that is being the half bitch. And if I were to do that, then I would not be holding them accountable for their actions. I wouldn't be holding them morally accountable, ethically accountable, or socially accountable for their requests and their actions. See, if I listen to them and I simply go, okay, oh, you're my friend. Oh, I didn't know you were my friend. Oh, thank you for petting the back of my neck. Oh, that feels so good. Oh, thank you for petting me and letting me play with your microphone. Oh, you're my friend. Oh, that's great. Oh, sure, I'll hit the delete button on my own content. Oh, yeah, I'll hit the delete button on my own content. And we don't even have to tell anybody that it was that you're the one who asked me. I'll just make it look like it was mine. No, fuck that. Because that's the thing that I had to think about here. Because here's the thing. Here's the crux of the argument. There are people out there that will say things like, Louis, I don't believe that anybody cares about your content. I believe that you're making it up that people care about your content because you want views, because you want drama, right? Now, let's say I were to actually delete my own content without ever having received real notice. Think about that. Think about that. Not only would the other party in question get to go walk away scot-free, guilt-free, with clean hands as if we never had anything to do with it, but I'm now missing my content. And the only person to blame is me. How fucked up would that be? So I've taken Dino's advice. I've taken Dino's life lessons to heart over the past 7 years. I've tried to internalize them and tried to pick out the best of those arguments. And I always try to look, regardless of where somebody is in life or regardless of what they've done wrong or what mistakes they've made, if somebody presents a good argument or they present, they say something that makes sense, I'm not going to ignore them just because they've done one thing wrong. And when Dino would bring these things up, they made a lot of sense, and they really taught me how to make other people be accountable and responsible for their actions and their words, and it taught me to be direct. It taught me not just to be direct, but how to get other people to be direct so that we can have a real conversation about the issues and not just have really important details, really important pieces just swept under the rug because somebody else is pretending to be something that they're not. That's what it means to be the whole bitch. Ain't no room for a half bitch in here. And he actually used to check me with that because there were times when I was 19 and 20 where I was being the half bitch and I didn't even notice it. I had not yet learned how to be 100% direct. I didn't know how to get my thoughts out in a manner where people wouldn't think that I was saying something incorrect or people would be on my side. But what I learned is that when you say what everybody else in the room is thinking, but everybody else in the room is too afraid to say, that they will rally behind you. If you have a thought and everybody else is thinking the same thing, but they just think that they can't say it because it's the wrong thing to say, they will rally behind you when you say that thought out loud. And if I hadn't met Dino, there's a good chance that I'd probably have 3 or 4 videos up on this channel and that they would be boring as hell because I would have still been in that mindset of hiding what I feel and hiding what I think because I thought that it was the wrong thing to say. And he just taught me the most profane thing that you can do is talk out the side of your mouth. The most profane thing that you can do is say one thing when you mean another. And I'm really glad that I met Dino for those reasons. That's that for that saying. One thing I'm happy, a little bit, I don't know whether to be happy or sad about this. I got the results of my blood test back. Nothing wrong, no platelet issue, no blood disease or anything. So all the black and blues on my leg from here to here, when my leg doesn't get hit, I don't play any contact sports or anything like that. All that stuff is most likely just minor muscle tears, but not the type where you need surgery or anything's disconnected from the bone, but just something that's going to take a really long time to heal, which is going to suck. I don't know. I've been trying to get back in shape. I was in pretty decent shape a few years ago. I got into complete shit shape when I got more serious about YouTube and the board repair thing, because again, sitting in a room all day doing this is not healthy for you. And you can't just exercise for 20 minutes a day and undo 12 hours of doing this. It's just, no, you need more than 20 minutes of exercise to undo doing this all day. And I was getting into a good routine. And my resting pulse at the doctor was something like 49 to 51, depending on the visit that I went. My blood pressure is anywhere from 100 over 70 to 120 over 80, which is really good. And I saw some comments before about how the resting pulse shouldn't be that low. That's not healthy. Resting pulse of 49 is actually really good. The whole idea with the heart is that it has to be, if you have a strong heart, it doesn't have to beat as often to get the blood moving throughout your body. So if you have a really strong heart, then you will have usually a lower resting pulse than somebody who has a really weak heart because they never exercise. And for me, it's not even about being it's not even really about just being so serious about fitness. It's just, it was a lifestyle for me. The way I stayed fit was a lifestyle, which is why it's going to be really hard to stay in shape now, and I'm going to feel like crap about it with the leg thing. If I had to go to Penn Station, and I'm at my store, which is on 11th Street and 1st Avenue, and Penn Station is on 34th and 8th, it wasn't, my instinct is not, let me take the L train to the A train. My instinct is, okay, that's a 10 or 15 minute run. If it's close, sure. If I don't feel like waiting for the train and I want to go home from work, okay, that's 4.5 miles over the bridge. It's just the way I think. So I've always been fit, at least, when I wasn't obsessed with this and filming it, just because I was able to. And now that I can't do running right now. I can't I have to discontinue all heavy lifting from my legs. That's just going to suck. One thing I am happy about, though, with the blood test, and this is where I almost kind of want to, as much as I want to kind of take out my knife and pretend to be Vegan Gains. Why are you lying to everyone, you fucking piece of shit? Blah, blah. If my content winds up getting taken down for other reasons, I'm going to try to do impressions of douchebags on YouTube. Maybe that's how I'll make money. But I asked him right as I hung up, and this is how you can tell that you've gone to the next level with YouTube, where you're actually on the phone with your doctor. You're on the phone with your medical doctor, and before you get off the phone, you just want to denounce a YouTube troll. I asked, just out of curiosity with the blood test, how are my vitamin B and B12 levels? Was there anything weird there? Were there any vitamin deficiencies? And he goes, no, it looks like you're in great condition, good nutritional shape, all is good, nothing wrong with the blood test. You're, clean bill of health, just don't do anything with your leg for a while. Which I thought was great, because I've gotten all these fucking trolls for the last 7 months. And again, I know that there are vegans that are douchebags. The title of my video is literally myths. You do not have to be a douchebag to be a vegan, because there are so many vegans that are complete douchebags. The title of my video is you don't have to be a douchebag, meaning you don't have to be the person that walks up to somebody at a restaurant and knocks food off their plate or look down your nose at them because of what they're eating. And the irony is that even after I did a video saying don't be a douchebag, I got a lot of people pretty much calling me out for being a douchebag. But I got a lot of comments saying, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing with this diet. Your health is gonna go to shit. You're gonna become vitamin deficient. You're gonna become this, that, and the other." And I would say I stopped eating meat either October or November of 2015. So let's just be conservative with it and say I've had 6 months on this diet. 6 months on this diet, and I don't take supplements. I'm cheap. I don't take vitamin B12 supplements or any of that crap. And my doctor tells me, they took the blood out of my arm right here, and they analyzed it, and there's nothing wrong with it. This is great. And I think this actually has to do more with my cheapness than my knowledge of nutrition. Because admittedly, I don't have a degree in nutritional science or anything like that. But what I find is that a lot of people who get into these diets, they're not cheap about it. So let's say they'll buy broccoli and they'll just eat the top of it with the little, I forget the name of it, but the part that looks cool, the little part that looks like an umbrella. They'll eat that and they'll throw away the rest of it. Me being a cheapskate, it's like, fuck that. I paid $1.50 for this. I'm eating the whole thing. I'll eat the entire thing down to the part that looks like like a fucking tree that got pulled out of the ground. With carrots, I boil carrots, but I eat the whole thing. With yams or potatoes, I eat the potato, I eat the skin, I eat the entire thing. I don't just eat a small portion of it. And the same thing goes with juicing. I don't juice, I would use a blender. Or I don't even do juicing or blending or smoothies or any of that anymore. I just eat the entire fucking vegetable as is. And it all was out of cheapness. I want to eat the entire thing. I paid for the entire thing. I'll be damned if I'm not going to get the calories, the vitamins, and the nutritional value from the entire thing. And I feel like a lot of people that do the juicing thing don't realize just how many vitamins they're literally washing and cleaning out of the filter in their juicer at the end of the day. Or how many people who cut, especially if you only go out to eat at restaurants, if you don't cook for yourself. When you go to a restaurant, they don't give you the entire thing of broccoli. They don't give you the entire carrot. That gets thrown away because it's ugly looking. So you don't eat that. But there's a lot of nutritional value in there that people are just throwing away. And my doctor told me by actually eating all that stuff, that's probably why I don't have any deficiencies or vitamin deficiencies, because because I eat the entire food, the whole food, which I would recommend people to think about doing. One of the things that probably deserves its own video is this plague of overpriced vegan juice cleanses. Have I told you that I hate overpriced vegan juice cleanses? I can't stand them. They suck. It's like you pay $15 for this tiny little bottle, and you drink it. And it's like, okay, but I'm not full. So you spend another $15 for another one. You're like, okay, I'm good. And then an hour passes and you're like, fuck, I'm hungry again. But you don't want to spend another $15, so you're like, screw this, I'm going to go back to eating meat. And people will think that that's what you're in for if you go with this diet, that you're just drinking stuff that's not filling, and you start to feel like crap, and you start to feel like you don't have any energy, and you start to feel weak. And then you get the idea in your head that you have to spend a lot of money to buy this. And that's like the ultimate scam, because the whole idea here is that vegetables have always been for people who are poor. And now the idea is getting into people's heads that vegetables are for the bourgeoisie. Is it the bourgeoisie or the proletariat? I forget, whichever one of the rich people. Vegetables are for the rich people that look their noses down at everybody. No, vegetables are for the broke mass people. So that always killed me. And there's so many ways to get it. Like there's so many grains and wheats and just things that you can get vitamin B12 from. And I'm kind of happy that I got the blood test done now, just for that alone, because I honestly hadn't had a blood test done since I changed my diet over. So for all I know, I could have had issues with malnutrition. But the cool thing is that I don't. Not only do I not have an issue with malnutrition, I never wasted $20 on a supplement. And that feels pretty good. Granted, I did this whole thing. I really think it was just from overworking it with the running uphill, running downhill, doing heavy squats 3 times a week. I've never had great legs or great knees. So I probably, once this does heal, I will have to revert to a more sensible exercise routine for my crap body. But we'll see on that. But yeah, definitely happy about that. Again, I'm not going to get up here with the knife and be like, yeah, this person didn't even do 3 minutes of fucking research before publishing this because they're a fucking lying piece of... No. I really don't have it in me to be a vegan, Gaines. And the other thing about people like him, how many people tell themselves that I will never change my diet just because of assholes like him? That's what I was trying to get at with with the video that I did a while ago on you don't have to be a douchebag to be a vegan. Because the thing is, as I said, and I covered this in another video, people are never going to want to listen to you if this is how you talk to them. They're going to want to do the exact opposite of what you say. If you tell me to take $1 million from you, and that's how you're telling me to take $1 million from you, I'm probably going to wind up I'm going to try to find a way to be poor just to spite you. It's just one of those things. Anyway, hopefully this video has been useful to me. Don't be a half bitch. If you're going to be the bitch, be the whole bitch. Ain't no half bitch in here. And we will see how they, Eli always calls me he who shall not be named. We will see how they who shall not be named respond to what I had to say. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.